And good morning. I'm your friend Scotty Ray. Today is Tuesday. We'd like to welcome WMOX Radio in with us this morning as we begin our broadcast. I do hope it's going well for you. How many of us have adjusted yet to this new time change? Yeah, I'm having issues there. My body keeps thinking of the old time. I normally don't use an alarm clock because I just wake up at 3. That's all fine and dandy until they move the clock up. I was a little late this morning. Yeah, so I may have to set me an alarm in the morning to get readjusted. My body gets used to this. Wow. Cool outside as you're waking up right now. 36. It's, well, rather cold on your walk to your vehicle. Keep that and have a little heat going there as you get going today. We got a lot coming up. Reverend Bowles will join us beginning at 7 o'clock. They got some big things coming up at the Evangel Temple that he's going to tell us about. Always good things. We look forward to hearing from him this morning beginning at 7. He'll be joining us. Let's go out to Collinsville now. Let's get our motivation for the day, so to speak. Let's go see what they have to say.
My wife and I recently finished watching through the extended editions of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And for many of you who've seen the films, you may think fondly of the hobbit Samwise Gamgee, the companion to Frodo Baggins, the little hobbit carrying the truly wicked One Ring to destroy it in the fires of Mount Doom. Although Samwise, or Sam for short, didn't have the excruciating and burdensome task of actually carrying the ring, his job on this quest was difficult: to accompany Frodo, keeping him safe and never leaving his side, just as he promised the old wizard Gandalf. This was no small feat. As we see throughout the 3 films, Frodo tries to go on the quest alone. They both face dangerous foes, and Frodo is convinced by the conniving Gollum that Sam is trying to take the ring for himself. So Frodo abandons Sam, telling him to go home. However, Sam never gives up and continues to stay with Frodo, and towards the end of their march up the mountain, when all hope seems lost that Frodo can finish the job, Sam says these famous words: "I can't carry it for you," that is, the ring, "but I can carry you." Samwise Gamgee knew the suffering he would face on this quest. Similarly, the Apostle Paul reminds the Thessalonians of the affliction they will endure because of the gospel. 1 Thessalonians 3, 1-5 says this: "Therefore, when we could no longer stand it, we thought it was better to be left alone in Athens. And we sent Timothy, our brother and God's co-worker in the gospel of Christ, to strengthen and encourage you concerning your faith, so that no one will be shaken by these afflictions. For you yourselves know that we are appointed to this. In fact, when we were with you, we told you in advance that we were going to experience affliction, and as you know, it happened. For this reason, when I could no longer stand it, I also sent him to find out about your faith, fearing that the tempter has tempted you, and that our labor might be for nothing." We know the Christian life is not easy. All around the world and throughout history, believers are and have been persecuted for the sake of Christ. Here in this letter, Paul says he sent Timothy to encourage the Thessalonians in their faith, so that their afflictions would not tear down their faith in Jesus. To be a follower of Jesus Christ is not a cushy life. It is a calling to pick up your cross, set aside your own desires, and suffer for the cause of Christ, strengthened by the fact that your life is hid with Christ on high. Christian, suffer well. Change begins in you.
The Change Begins in You is brought to you in part by Piggly Wiggly of Collinsville, Patrick Allen Companies, Mitchell Tire and Wrecker in Collinsville, and Mowdy Cabinetry. Welcome back, Jerome Lee. Good morning there. Let's see, East Tennessee joining us today for the broadcast as well. Charlotte Gray, Waking Up Philadelphia. Morning to each and every one of y'all. And I done y'all a favor. I didn't yawn. I let out one yawn, and that would have been contagious, and everybody in 6 states would have been yawning. I don't know what it is about that, but you can go to a doctor's office, and it only takes one, and around the room it goes. I don't know if scientists have spent any money discovering what causes that yet. As we look at headlines that are shaping America, and we look around overnight, there was a bus going from New Jersey to New York. It overturned last night. 13 children were injured. We have 1 child critical. I'm assuming that it was going to some type of ball game or something to that effect, some high school event. But again, 13 hurt, 1 in critical condition. We have not heard how the child is doing this morning. Prayers to New York for that. Awful to have such a thing like that happen there. Let's see here. You ever just wanted to go, what were you thinking? This was an international flight that had left Chicago. I forget how many hours it had been in there. Across the big ocean, they had to turn around because they had 12 commodes, 12 toilets, however you want to word that. 8 of them wouldn't work, and it was starting to make everyone uncomfortable. Most of those international flights are 18, 20 hours. So it diverted back. Sure enough, there was a problem. People had stuffed clothing down the commodes, and yes, that will cause backups. Now, I don't see how that's an accident. I really don't. How? No. Now, to my knowledge, no one was arrested or anything like that. Was it mischief, or was it someone trying to just cause problems? But what would make you want to do that? That's a long flight to begin with.
Somebody didn't want to go.
I don't think you could hold it to the next exit.
No.
Just saying. Wow. So, issues there. That's just bad. That's just bad there. Here's something to watch. I don't know if it means anything. I've seen 2 people do this over the last few weeks, Gavin Newsom being the first, and it has nothing to do with the state of California. The name of it is, This is Gavin Newsom. It tells me he is setting himself up for something later with a podcast. Again, has nothing to do with California mentioned in it. It's just, here is Gavin Newsom. The second person that you want to watch with this lady is starting a podcast with her brother. Does it mean a political run some 3 to 4 years from now? I'm not sure. No mention of the name Barack associated with it, but Michelle Obama starting a podcast. Huh. Something to keep in mind, what will happen. The Democrats clearly have not found who the next person is going to be that they're all going to get behind. We'll see what becomes of that one. Long Island, New York. Do you remember us talking about the fire over the weekend that destroyed, it was a lot of acres. Maybe it was around 400. Firefighters have discovered what caused it. And you're not going to, it sounds so simple and innocent as to what happened. S'mores. You know what I'm talking about? In the backyard, and they took a piece of cardboard and lit it to do some s'mores, and the piece of cardboard jumped out with wind and took off 400 acres. Several buildings have been damaged. I don't think any lives were lost, but boy, they've had 80 volunteer fire departments fighting this. Something as simple as s'mores. That one caught me off guard. I didn't expect that. Here's a turnabout. Do you remember the 2 brothers, the Mendez brothers, who were accused of killing their family some years ago? At first, the L.A. County DA had suggested they get out early. They're taking that back. They're withdrawing that recommendation. Must have found something they didn't like after they got back into that. I had no idea about this. This actually took me by surprise because I guess the first time I saw him was Pulp Fiction, the best I can remember. And I'm talking about Mr. Die Hard himself. Y'all remember that? But as we go back, Bruce Willis. When was the first time you saw him in a TV show? In an interview, and again, this caught me way off guard. Don Johnson, y'all remember him from Miami Vice? Said he was going into a bar. There was this bartender that talked to him every night, and he said he was funny. So he picked up his phone and he called the producers of what was the big show that they were on back in the day? Miami Vice. And said, y'all need to let this guy come in and read. And well, as history would have it, Bruce did, and from there he got role after role. But I didn't know that Don Johnson was the reason that he got his break. Bruce Willis has always seemed one of those that was a friendly guy that could, talk to anyone. And boy, God bless him. He's going through a lot right now, him and his family. But I didn't know that. Deborah said the first time she saw him was Moonlighting. Moonlighting. That was his probably first TV show that he had. But it was an appearance on Miami Vice. Isn't that interesting? I certainly like Bruce Willis. All his characters, 99% of the time, are somebody you can look up to. I'm sure he's played some bad guys before. Anyway, I thought you might find that as interesting as I did. The Washington Post editor has resigned after the CEO took one of her columns down. What was it that Johnny Carson used to do when he'd do that thinking? Oh, yeah.
the great
Yeah.
or something.
Great. Yeah. Who cares? She's resigned. We'll move on. Newspaper is not going to affect the world anymore. Here's tragedy as we look at this morning. An Atlanta teacher's body has been found after a month of searching. And it was not far from where they thought. It was on a Georgia lake. Condolences to those family members, but closure has come. A month. Would certainly hate that. Now, I'm not just sure that this is going to pass. They're trying this in Texas. Again, I guess you have the right as an American citizen to think anything that you want to think of yourself. Does that make sense, what I just said? It will after I say this. There's a Texas bill that would make it illegal to identify yourself as a transgender, punishable by law. I don't think that will pass. That goes... You can think anything that you want. You can think you're Batman. You can think you're Superman if you want to. Doesn't make it real, but you can still think it. That probably won't pass. I'm not sure who put that up. As we look to the Pope, we're hearing that he's a teeny bit better. They've lifted the guarded situation over him. The Pope. Still, he's been in the hospital well over a week now. What is it, a couple of weeks? Oh, we do hope he feels better. Now, has anybody ever watched, and I have in disbelief, and I mainly see it online, these fashion shows? Even the award shows, you'll see these outfits that people wear, and you look at it and you go, there's no way in everyday life you could wear that outfit. Number one, that's the first thought. They'll be broad-shouldered and material that you couldn't even fit into a car with. Well, what happens when it's less material than needed for life's adventures? Paris this week, fashion show. Now, how many times have you seen a male walking down the runway in just jeans and a shirt? Just jeans, no shirt. Pretty common, except this time, as the guy went down the runway, he was wearing, and I'm trying to think of the words, fake boobies. Is there any other way to word it? Come on, people. I didn't get it. They were trying to make some statement, and whatever statement you're making, I didn't get, and I don't think the rest of the world gets either. They could care less. But you should know these things. Let's see what else is happening. Have y'all seen this? I caught the first mention of this yesterday afternoon on Jesse Waters, who was covering it. It was a Virginia high school runner, track. Have y'all seen this? She's making her rounds around it, and she's winning. Except the girl that is losing comes up beside her and takes a baton and starts beating her in the head so she can get ahead. Who teaches this to children to win by cheating? A Tanya Harding move by at least. The Philippine president, y'all remember him? The former one, he's been arrested. Rodrigo. He's arrested on international criminal court warrant. His future is not looking too bright this morning. We had one person vote against this, and let me explain what it is. Near the border, we have bad guys that want to come to the United States awful bad. We've seen drug cartels build tunnels that are 3, 4, 5 miles sometimes, maybe even longer. Advance, where they'll come up into a house and they just transport drugs back and forth. Let me read you these numbers. 402 representatives. 402. That's Republican and Democrat. All but one person voted to stop this and make that illegal. Her name is Representative Rashad Tlaib. Am I pronouncing her name? I'll spell it. Talib. She's a Democrat. She voted no on this. She wants to apparently make that legal. And y'all know who I'm talking about. She's a part of that AOC group. How could you vote like that? Just the same as we watched the other night as people didn't clap for that little boy during that got his little, and the girl that had the park named after her. I don't care what side of the fence you're on, you have to take care of your people. We saw this in the news yesterday. Do y'all remember the president saying that anybody that stirred up trouble at a university would be deported from the United States of America? We have a judge saying that the president can't do that. going to have to do some fixing, aren't we? If you cause trouble in the U.S. of A., you should be able to stay here. Here's some statistics, and then I'll tell you why. Numbers are out, and Trump deported fewer immigrants in February than Biden did the year before. Does that make sense to you? You want me to give you a hint? The border was open the year before, and there was so many more flowing in that those numbers were actually drastically low. There's less coming in, so there's fewer to run out. You have to think about that. Do a little mathematics on that.
A lot has self-deported.
Yeah, there's a lot not coming anymore as well. Boy, they've got a really thing out for Elon. Yesterday, 44 tires were stolen off Teslas in a parking lot. 44! Now, I had to look up what the meaning of this was because I've just never been around it, never heard it. But a 4-year-old little boy was killed, I believe it was last year in Michigan, in a facility. He had gone into a hyperbaric chamber. And what that was, it was a treatment for him. And horror as this is, as it sounds, once he was inside this, it caught on fire. That poor little boy died. They have arrested several doctors associated with this. It was an alternative treatment, and apparently their chamber was not fully tested. 3 have been arrested. How horrible this is. We have a couple of teenagers that are in trouble this morning as we look at some headlines here. As I go to a 17-year-old arresting for threatening to do bad things at a school, and you know where I'm going with that. That was in Florida. He made a post. Police moved in quickly and arrested. No one was hurt. That's the good news there. Houston, a teen has been indicted, 17 years old, for making terroristic threats online as well. It's all over. We've had it happen here. And so many people say, well, I didn't think that was really anything to that. I was just kidding. No, if you do that, it's for real. These 2 cases were probably for real. They have been arrested. We're starting to see a shift in Hollywood. I haven't noticed it yet. And I didn't even know that Tim Allen had a new show. Did y'all? I don't see a lot of television, so I missed out on this. Let's see here. Is the name of it Shifting Gears? Anybody heard that? He's in it, and he pretty much, and it's starting to be a hit from what they're saying. But he's throwing in those little jabs of being an American, and they're calling it Trump-flavored television is what they say. Ratings are going through the roof for it. Hollywood is seeing this and starting to make a few adjustments. I hadn't seen it yet, so we'll wait.
Have to go back to mainstream TV.
Yeah, see what that has to offer there. We had major outages yesterday on X. Did y'all see this? They were trying to shut down the X platform as they dug deeper into this. Guess what? IP addresses were linked to Ukraine. Enough about that, isn't it? There's tons of more stories that are out there this morning. We're going to take a quick break, come back with your weather forecast to let you know what's coming. Severe weather coming up on Wednesday and on Friday and Saturday. Have mercy. We got all the details coming up next. We'll be right back.
Collinsville, Mr. Discount Drugs, your local pharmacy and gift shop, thanks you for your continued support. Whether you shop with us in-store, through our app, over the phone, or in our drive-thru, our team will provide the best personalized customer service experience you expect from your local pharmacy. When you call or message us, you are promptly greeted by the Mr. Discount team that's ready to help. When you choose our pharmacy, you're choosing a locally owned pharmacy that cares about you and your community. Collinsville, Mr. Discount Drugs makes a difference.
We welcome you to a new vehicle buying experience here at Doc's Toyota. Buying a new vehicle doesn't have to be stressful, but don't just take our word for it.
This was the best experience I've ever had buying a vehicle.
Doc's employees are top-notch.
I drove 2 hours, not once, but twice, to purchase 2 vehicles with a 5-month time frame.
Doc's delivers competitive pricing, a comprehensive selection, and flexible financing options, helping you get on the road from Carthage, Meridian, and beyond. There's a reason why there's no deal like a Doc's deal.
Your forecast is brought to you by EMEPA, your Touchstone Energy Cooperative.
Welcome back as we get into our forecast today. Record highs and record lows. Any 1955 babies out there? Well, if so, it was hot. It was 89. Your mama was sweating today. As we go back to 1996, it was a low of 23 as we look at that low record there. Chilly, wasn't it? As we move to today, it's going to be somewhere between 75 to 76 here in Meridian. As we go northward, Columbus could see somewhere around 74 around Mississippi State. Down the river, we'll even see 73 at Natchez. As we go east into Bama, how about all y'all at Tuscaloosa? 76 to 75 as well. A little cooler in Birmingham at 73, and as we go to Auburn, we could see 72 today. Now, as we look across this is what we have to offer. Coming up tomorrow, Wednesday night through midday Thursday, a chance of severe weather. It's a level 1. With this, there's not any tornadic activity on this one. This is going to be heavy rain, maybe some wind gusts and some hail, but no tornadic activity is expected with this. Again, this is going to fall late Wednesday night through midday Thursday as we look at all of this. As we move into Friday, Saturday, this is a totally different ball game. Here we've got Friday night a level 2, which can cause tornadoes. As we move into Saturday, there's a very good chance we could see tornadic activity once again. This is a level 3 storm. I don't want anyone to underestimate this and go, well, we've had bad weather the last few weeks. Nothing happened. Do not underestimate the power of severe weather. We don't want this. As we look back upon yesterday in 1992 was the year that we had that horrible tornado come through here. Do y'all remember that? The baby in the tree? Do y'all remember that? That was 1992. May the 10th of 1992. It could happen again. We've got severe weather this week. Stay with us. We will walk you through everything that happens. Severe weather as well as we talk about winds. Look at this. This is Friday. It will dry your clothes out in no time flat on a clothesline. The problem is it may not be there when you go back to get it. Y'all remember the little clothesline, what do you call those things? Clothespins. I just don't see them anymore. Clotheslines are like a disappearing thing of the past. That's because when you put on your shirt, it was like sandpaper. Y'all know that. There's nothing soft about it. That wind makes your shirts and pants stand up on their own. Kind of rough to walk for a few moments. As we look at Alabama, we've got the same thing as we'll see this. A level 3 all the way over to Anniston, Gadsden, over to Montgomery. This is going to be happening again Saturday as we watch these storms. As we look at our temperatures, here's what we've got here. Warmer weather coming across us, bringing this 70-degree weather. Here we are, 75 to 76 today. More the same tomorrow with 76. As we move into Thursday, look at those showers there. 80, a high of 80, but a 40% chance of showers. Slight chance Friday, and then our big threat of severe weather Saturday. 75 expected, 74 on Sunday. No excuse not to make it to the front doors. The rain's moving out, and it's going to be 70-something. Just take you a slight jacket there in case you got the air conditioning too cool. It'll be perfect. Temps through March the 24th. Look at this, 70-degree weather for the most part. A couple of days right there at 80 or just barely close to it. Scattered showers, nothing too serious as we look at that. Now let's talk about fishing for a quick moment on this day. It looks like perfect time to fish today is going to be around 10:20 to about 12:20. So let's call it from 10 to 12:30. Be a great time to go to your favorite spot. Sunrise happened at 7:09 this morning, and a few minutes from now. Sunset, get this, 7 p.m. tonight. Great weather there. That's a quick look at our headlines that we got shaping America this morning. We're also coming back in just a second. We'll have one of the great. We'll tell you all about it. Reverend Bowles is here. He's got something up his sleeve over here. We don't know what it is. Odie's hoping for an oatmeal cake. We'll be right back. Join us, won't you? Thank you for dropping by. We'll have all your headlines beginning at 7. Coming up, we got a pot of coffee we got to make, and we'll be back to join you in just a moment. Big thank you to all you at WMOX for joining us as well this morning. We'll be right back with the Scotty Ray Report.
The Scotty Ray Report is brought to you by our following partners.